get this recording started. All right, my name is Lake Savage-Bellavance. This is Wednesday Winners. This is what I do every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. sharp, except for the last Wednesday of the month, so that you have time to go crush your goals, your monthly goals, which you should be setting. Couple of maintenance things. Workplace engagement, we can't say it enough. Pay attention to workplace. It's a great tool. It's an area where you can learn anything that you need to. It's your direct connection to your uplines, to your growing uplines. It's where everything is going to be posted that we need you to be on, or something that you could be on. This is an optional training here. You don't have to be on this, but I know those of you who are on are hungry. I need some of y'all to hop and put on mute. There we go. Stay muted towards the end of the call, please, and then we'll start and ask some questions. But tonight is one of my favorite subjects. It's how to become a 20K producer. So we're going to call this a 20K pathway session. All right. So really, we all get into this business and we want to do the best we can, but some of us seem like we struggle, right? And we can never get past the hump or the aha moment. And believe me when I tell you, everyone on here can get past that hump. There are a few key things that you could do. You don't have to figure it out for yourself. That's one of the great things about the Lisa Group, is that we lay this out constantly, so you have the exact pathway to walk along and become a 20K producer. Okay. And once you hit 20K, honestly, you're going to rise above. Once you really hit and grind to hit that 20K, anything else is possible. I just hit 40K for the first time last month, and I've been rushing for that goal. It took me about a year to get it when I set my eyes on it. But once I did it, man, it feels so good. I worked hard for it, and I just followed the same steps as I did for a 20K producer. So the very first thing you should do as a new agent, is leave your ego at the door. What do I mean by that? Well, that means that if you come in from a sales background, or you think you have it all figured out, stop it. You don't, right? Humble yourself for a little bit. Submit to the system that we have in place. There's very specific reasons we do what we do. Aaron Gooderman says it all the time. We have a method to our madness. There's a reason, okay? So if you can leave your ego at the door, right? And I had trouble doing this, believe me. I came in as one of the top car salesmen of a large franchise here in Maine, right? For cars, for Ford, actually. And what ended up happening was I was trying to use all my car salesman techniques to sell insurance. Didn't work. But luckily, my upline, Nelson Alvarez, caught it quickly. And he's like, hey, leave all that stuff at the door. Leave your ego. You're no longer the best salesman right now. You need to humble yourself and learn what I have to say. And I did that. I did a complete reset. So I reset back to the point where I don't know anything. And I was able to clear my mind, and I was able to act like I just hop on a bicycle for the first time. Right? What's going to happen when we hop on the bicycle? You're going to have some training wheels. Your uplines are your training wheels, right? They're going to help you. And then eventually, when you take those training wheels off, you're going to take some diggers. You're going to skin your knees, right? But those of you who get back up and get back on the bike, that's grit. You need grit in this business. You need grit. You need consistency in order to get better. And every single one of us that tried to get on that bike, we wanted it so bad that eventually we were able to ride a bike just fine, right? It's the same thing with this business. So leave your ego at the door. Next thing, expect and welcome failure. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? That we want you to fail. Well, it's the system we work on. We don't want you to fail, but we expect failure, right? Because you're new at this, okay? So when it comes to failure, there's a couple of different kinds. There's good failure and bad failure. We want you to fail forward, which means you're failing in the direction of your goal. For instance, if you were riding a bike and you just weren't able to take a curve and you fell off, right? That's a good failure because you're learning how to turn correctly. A bad failure would be you gave up and didn't even try, right? That's failing backwards. Or sitting down and not doing any work. That's failing, but that's doing it in the wrong direction. So we want you to fail forward. We operate on a try, fail, adjust. The faster you do that, the faster you'll be successful. So when you first start out, You want to get as much failure out of the way as possible, as fast as possible. And how we teach that is getting through your first 10 appointments, your first 250 dials. Those should really, really be about learning. Okay. Don't expect much of yourself. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that, oh, I got to make all this money right here and now. You got to expect some leeway. There's a learning curve. Expect that failure. Welcome it so that when you know that you fail, I'm excited that I fail now because listen, I'm learning something from that. Now I know what not to do in the future, and I know now what to do better. Right. So if I mess up an appointment, right after the appointment, I'm either gonna call my upline Nelson Alvarez or Aaron Gooderman. And I'm gonna say, hey, this is what I did. Do you think I could do anything different? Think I could do anything better? Right. I'm able to vocalize that. I'm able to collect that data for myself so that I can get better the next time. And if I just keep doing that, it's a snowball effect. Okay. So don't be afraid of failure. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Okay. You may be scared or uncomfortable, but wake up with enthusiasm and confidence about your day and what you're doing, and it'll come to you. You're going to have your aha moment. So in the beginning, you really want to go overboard, right? You can't sculpt like a statue without a lot of raw material and whittling it down. Like look at people who carve trees for a living, right? They carve trees and they make them into a beautiful statue, right? But they had to start with a big chunk. So your big chunk of wood is setting as many appointments as humanly possible. Go laser focus. And if you're full-time, this is perfect time just to go nuts. Set more appointments than you're comfortable with. Because even if you fail, let's say you set 15 appointments your first week. Now, let's say if you have a really low close ratio, like 25%. What's 25% of 15? I wish I could do math that fast in my head, but I can't. So 15% times, 15 times 25%, 5%, that's 3.75. So let's call it 4. So out of 15 appointments, you only closed 4. Well, on average, each close is going to be $1,000 annual premium. You just made $4,000. You're going to shake a stick at that? No, it's going to bring your confidence up, right? How do you get there? How do you get 15 appointments? Make sure you have the lead flow. We're all scared to invest in ourselves. Okay. It's scary. If you've never owned a business before, it's scary to spend money on something that's unpredictable to you right now. So this is really where you need to start trusting your upline. We say it for a reason. Your first investment should be about $350. Okay, $350. If you can go more, great, but start with $350. Get a bunch of tier 1 leads, aged leads, and work through those. Okay, set as many appointments as humanly possible. Okay, you can squeeze 10 to 15 appointments out of that. And if you can't, make sure you re-up on leads. Okay, it's important to keep that fuel. It's just like being a convenience store owner. You couldn't make any sales if you didn't have any product. And if you didn't have any product, how many people are going to keep coming back to your store to buy things, right? Now, I'm just going to go to the next store a few miles down the street because I know they have what I want, right? So you need to make sure you have that in place. So really, it's just putting in massive work, massive activity, ignorance on fire. That's what we call it. I did that. I was just completely ignorant, and I did 20K. And then I was just like, I don't know anything about insurance. I really did. I didn't know anything about insurance after my first 20K, but you know what? It's all right because I still made a good amount of money. I still learned some things and I could continue to grow from there. Right. But because I made that massive sprint, because I separated myself from every single distraction, I talked to my wife and I was just like, so I have no idea what I'm doing here. Right. She let me leave a $90,000 a year job to do this full time. And I made her a few promises. A, I've got to replace my income. And B, it's got to give us a life we want. Right. And we made those alignments, but it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice. I'm going to be a little bit out of pocket here and there. It's not like I'm going to never be around, but I'm going to be a little bit out of pocket while I figure out this system. And with her permission and support, I was able to do that. Okay. I was able to say no to family events here and there. And it's not like I do that all the time now, but in the beginning, I just took 4 to 6 weeks just to get used to it. And that was a small sacrifice in the length of my career here, right? So I sprinted as fast as I could, and I worked as hard as I could, and I achieved my goal in my very first month. So that's really what it takes. And if you can teach yourself to have that laser focus, it's going to change your business instantly. Okay. Eliminating frustration, right? Things are going to happen. Failure sucks, right? Especially when you need it, right? Say I need to make the sale because I need some money. Clients are going to smell that on you a mile away, right? You need to bring your focus back to protecting the client and stop getting frustrated, because frustrated isn't going to get you anywhere. It's going to heighten your anxiety. It's going to heighten your anger, right? You're just going to be out of whack. You're not going to be acting at your normal pace. You're not going to have your normal charm when you're talking to clients. They're going to pick up on that stuff, right? So the sooner you can let it go, the better. You know, you might get a crap ton of no's when you're on the dials. I still get no's every single day. You know, I have brand new leads that people don't even know what I'm talking about, but I'm able to handle those objections, right? Because of my skill set now. Even then, I still get told no. Even then, today I had an appointment and I was told no, right? But I worked my best to try to get there, and I'm okay with that. I don't care about failing because I know that I did my best with them. It's not going to frustrate me, because if I'm frustrated from that person and I'm keeping a service from the next people who really want this and need this, but I'm too frustrated to deal with them, how is that fair? It's not fair to them, right? So clear yourself of the frustrations. Give yourself some slack. Some of us like to be really hard on ourselves to perform because we're comparing ourselves to other agents in the laser group, right? We're comparing ourselves to the top agents or the top builders, right? Don't do that. Only compare yourself to yourself. Take what you see and realize that you can have that. Your journey is your own, so you're responsible for the pace that you set to get there, right? But if you're having trouble with one area, work on it. Don't be ashamed that it's not going to take you that's taking you a little bit longer to get there, right? Because you're still going to get there. What did it say in the beginning when I had that slide up? You know, you will always win if you don't quit. You just don't have to quit. And what I love here about the laser group, again, is that our uplines never quit on us. They're always have my back 100% of the time. The only reason that I would fail in this business if I quit, if I stop doing what I'm doing. So I keep that forward motion and momentum. The next thing that you have to do is set goals and set your schedule, okay? This one takes a little bit of getting used to because most of us come from a background where we're working in a professional setting, right? We've got a schedule. We've got to show up at 8 a.m. We've got to clock out at 5 p.m. We've got an hour lunch. It's so regimented for us, right? We're kind of like a Labrador retriever. We've regimented them to a certain schedule, and if we throw them out of that, they're out of whack, right? They don't know what to do. You don't know what to do with your time. And as an independent agent, there's a lot of free time. Don't lie to me, anybody. There's a lot of free time as an independent agent, and you don't know what to do. So you got to create a schedule. You got to set that schedule for yourself. Again, it's moving it from a lot of raw material and narrowing it down to what works for you. Now, we believe here that it's God, family, business, right? So scheduling your family time. First and foremost, scheduling that time with your family. Talk to your spouse, talk to your significant other, talk to family that you hang out often or your friends. Hey, this is the time I'm going to have available. Okay, this is what I'm going to use on a consistent basis. You'll always know I'm available here. Then from there, once you get that, you're going to schedule in your big blocks, calls, right? Calls for the laser group, about TLGs, your dial sessions, right? You're going to schedule in those big blocks. Just like Aaron said the other day, what he was talking about on the national call, like make your schedule. It's not going to be perfect, but as you start to move through that, you're going to start noticing some patterns. Okay, if I cut this and I move this, that's going to work a little bit better for me. Not one TLG agent has similar schedules except for Saturday dials. Guarantee that. We're all dialing at 8 a.m. to noon. And if you notice, the ones that are doing the best is they're dialing 8 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. It's how it is. So if you can't make that half a morning sacrifice, it depends. If you have another job or another commitment, that's one thing. But if you're a full-time agent, you should definitely be dialing at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturdays. Okay, it's following that system. So get your schedule, get it down packed. Now, once you have your schedule, you've got to take your goal and reverse engineer it so that you can add it to your schedule, right? I want to hit 20K. So what does that mean? Let's say you have a 50% closing ratio. Okay, you're going to want to set 10 to 12 appointments a week, because at least 2 or 3 are not going to show, and you're going to close half of them. So if you close 5 or 6 appointments on average, that's going to be $4,000 or $5,000 annual premium. Okay, sometimes more, sometimes less. Over time, it evens out. But if you can hit that number, that is 20K. It is seriously that easy, right? Once you use your age leads, right? You're making through after your first 10 appointments and 250 dials, you should have the system down, right? But you can't drag it out for months on end. You can't just pick it up and set it down, pick it up and set it down. This is a perishable skill. It's just like shooting a gun professionally. As you age or as you stop doing the hobby, it's a perishable skill. So you need to make sure you're constantly working on it, right? Yes, we're going to have our days off, of course. Make sure you have your days off, but don't set it down for, 5, 6, 7 days and then try to come back. You're going to completely lose your momentum. You're going to forget everything that you did, and then you're not going to remember how to do anything. You're going to get into a funk, and then that funk is going to affect your sales. It's no bueno. It's a negative snowball, right? I don't know what to call it, but anyways, it's a bad snowball, right? Made of lava, whatever. We'll go with that. But you want to maintain your skill. You want to keep sharp, right? So keep sharp. So doing extracurricular activities like hopping on Wednesday winners, that's an extracurricular activity. Studying your products, studying your phone script, even when you're not dialing. I can't stress that enough. I say that all the time on here. Study your phone script outside of your dial sessions. And it's not for hours on end, just 10 or 15 minutes, bite-sized pieces, guys. Just do it a couple times to refresh yourself, to remember. Think of objections that you're getting. Try to handle them outside of dial sessions, okay? Those are things that are gonna bring up your game. Now, once you get your schedule set, you've got your goal set, you've did everything you needed to do for that day, and you're like, it is noon, and I don't have any appointments, and I have no idea what to do. Well, what do you do in that situation? Call your upline and ask, what's next? What should I be doing next? They're going to lead you to the right direction, right? If you're full-time, you've got 40 hours in a week to work. You shouldn't be clocking out at 12:30. Oh, I'm done. See you later. No. If you really want to hit 20K, call your upline and see what's next. Stay hungry for it. Don't just set it down, okay? So by doing that, it's going to put you in a mode and mindset that you're going to start to create a habit. And once you create that habit, it's going to become a lifestyle. And you're going to have that aha moment. You're going to be looking back from 3 months ago being like, wow, I made 20K ridiculously complicated, but it's not. And I'll admit, once I hit 20K and 30K, guys, I made 40K really complicated and unnecessarily complicated. So I still struggle with that too. And then I hit it, and I look back on that month and I was like, it wasn't that hard. I just had to put in that extra oomph, that extra work. I had to remember the time that I was a beginner agent, where I was rushing towards that 20K and putting in that activity. Talked to my wife again last month. Hey, we'll be out of pocket this month a little bit more than usual because I'm pushing for 40K. And she was like, go get them, get that 40K. And, I was able to learn how to do it and rush towards that goal. So what else is there to say? I think that's pretty much it. But something from me personally is, really paying attention to your lead flow. You can't beat leads over and over again. Just because people said no you can set that lead aside, but don't work those leads where you're calling them every single week and you only have one batch of leads. Each lead set has its own arbitrage. So if I buy 50 TLG4s, okay, I know those are going to have a 5 to 10 conversion rate. So I'm going to close 2.5 to 5 deals. And actually, you know what? It's not even close. I'm going to set 2.5 to 5 appointments and then have my close ratio from there. So if you have that expectation, they're 50-cent leads, guys, right? They're not that expensive. But if you've already gone through it and you've set more than 5 appointments with them, you're grinding those leads into dust. It's not, you're not going to squeeze that water from a rock. You really need to get in the mindset of making an additional investment. Sometimes your investment is not going to feel very great because you had a crappy week, but if you stay consistent at it, it is going to even out, right? For instance, very first week on virtual sales, I spent like $600 on leads. I set 12 appointments, which was huge. And throughout my week, not one of them showed up. I had 12 no-shows. That was a kick right where you don't want to say, right? That sucked. But I was able to pull up by my bootstraps, talk to my uplines, readjust, spent another $600 on leads, and boom, had like a 5,000-6,000 AP. So I paid for both lead sets and still made some money the very next week. Okay, so it's about, you don't know how close you are to success, right? You could be quitting right before the finish line, and because it's not a tangible goal, right? We can't see the horizon in as being an agent. We cannot see it. So yeah, that's pretty much how you go about being a 20K producer. That's the pathway. Recapping is leave your ego at the door, right? Refreshing your mind, reset your mind so that you can absorb new information. Humble yourself to your uplines because they really are trying to help you. They really are trying to get you to their level. So don't argue with them. Don't question what they're doing. Even if you do question what they're doing, that's okay, but do it anyways. And then you can start to make it your way once you've got the clout for it, right? Stop thinking failure is bad. Try, fail, adjust, move forward. Put in the amount of work it takes to get to 20K. Just go overboard, right? Rush as fast as you can and set as many appointments as possible. When you put in that work, it's going to help your arbitrage. It's going to help you learn faster. And it's going to build your confidence, okay? Wake up with enthusiasm and confidence. No one wants to start a day bad. You have a choice. Believe it or not, we have control over our emotions. Whenever you run into a problem, there's a neat little trick you can do. Let's say you're having an issue and you write down all the things you can control and all the things you can't control, okay? Once you write down that list, cross out everything you can't control and only focus on the things you can. Plus, you'll pretty much find that there's a very short list of things you can't control, okay? So if you focus on the list of things you can control, it's gonna make your mind a little bit more task-oriented, more objective thinking, and it's going to help you move forward. And with that, confidence is going to naturally build. Set up and follow your schedule, get your leads, weekly lead investments, make sure that you're always checking with your upline, and make sure that you're asking your upline what's next, okay? Because you can't fail doing that. Hop on all the calls, listen in, be reading every day, right? Read something that's gonna, build up your mind and your confidence. Listen to audibles, watch, YouTube videos, and listen to good podcasts, right? Try to break that negativity out of your life. So with that, that's the end of this week's Wednesday winners. But let's see if we have any questions this week. So I want to open it up for a few minutes for questions. We're going to cut it a little bit short tonight. But if you have a question, please keep it to the subject at hand. We do have a call on Fridays. Friday mornings is the 20K mindset call where you have a panel of 20K partners and above to answer any question you have. On Wednesday winners, we're more pointed and about the specifics of the business. So I want to keep it specific to the topic. So if you have any questions, there is a little button that says reactions at the bottom where you can raise your hand. And I see the first one. We've got Nathan Bolschwaller. How do you spell that, or how do you say that, bro?
Schweiler.
Bolschweiler?
Well, that's close enough. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it German?
Yeah, it's German, Swedish, and a little bit Canadian.
All right, cool. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm a lot of Canadian, so cool.
Hey, well, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you, eh? What's your question?
Real quick. So you said reset your mind. What did you mean by that? Because I missed the first 6 minutes. Like
Yep.
I was literally running from work.
Yeah. Yeah. So resetting your mind. So I talked about leaving your ego at the door. Okay. We tend to think that we know more than we do, especially about subjects. We also think we think things are easier than they actually are, right? So by leaving your ego at the door and resetting your mind back to, an unsoaked sponge allows you to learn faster. It allows you to humble yourself to your upline so that you're listening more intently and you don't have a little bug in the back of your head going, well, what does he really know about? I was a top car salesman for 10 years, right? Because you don't know crap when you come into this business. And if you can do that, you stand a much better chance at learning a lot faster and being less frustrated. So good question. All right. Do we have any other questions here? I take time out of my week to talk to y'all, to train you, because I like doing it. So have some questions. I mean, this is big. I don't see many 20K producers on here. I don't think I see. Oh, let's go. Who's this?
So, Michael, upline is Jonathan Price.
All right. What's up, Michael?
So I spoke with Age Lead earlier, had a conversation. They mentioned that they already had insurance. How do you get past that? Because it seems like they went through their mortgage provider, Rocket Mortgage, partnered with that lender, I believe, and they said they have insurance through that partnership with Rocket Mortgage, and they thought that I was a scam because I was just on the phone, and they don't know who I am. There was no credibility. The rapport was. They were like, we don't know if you're a scam or not. I'm like, I'm not. I texted them a photo of their mortgage protection file, and then they said, we'll get in touch with you. And I just said, thanks. So how do you get past that? And they already have.
They're never going to call you back. Sorry to say that, Michael. They're never going to call you back. But how you handle that objection is if they say, well, we already got coverage. First thing out of your mouth, great, that's awesome. So what did you end up getting? You got that far. Well, we got coverage through Rocket Mortgage. Okay, awesome. So is that the new kind or is it the old kind? And that's going to make them question, okay, what do I have, right? They're going to say, I don't know. Well, the new kind allows you to have access to the death benefit if you have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, or become disabled, right? While you're still alive. You don't have to die just to collect this insurance. The old kind, that's all it did. If you died, you collect insurance. If you don't, and you get hurt and you can't work, you lose your mortgage. Now with Rocket Mortgage, I've never heard of them pairing with an insurance company, but here's the red flag. Okay, great. I completely understand. You probably got a great rate on that through Rocket Mortgage, but your lender is going to sell your loan at some point, or you're going to refinance, right? So what's going to happen is your coverage is going to go with them. Were you aware of that? No, I wasn't aware of that. Okay, well, the coverage that we offer is attached to you and not your mortgage to keep that event from happening. Because let's say you get cancer 10 years down the road, God forbid, and your lender decides to sell at the worst time possible and you lose your coverage. What does that look like for you and your family? Right? Bring up those questions, okay? You're going to open them up a little bit. They were a little bit scared, right? They thought you were a scam, right? But hey, you showed them the form. That's a great thing. Why did you fill out this form originally? Getting back to that. Does that make sense, Michael? I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, perfect. All right. So any other questions here?
I have a follow-up to that
All
same
right.
call. Is that fine? So they mentioned that they had term, and
Mhm.
I said that, do you have the cashback option? Because I even rebutted that. I said that we have a way where once your mortgage is over 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years, with, I didn't say index universal life, but you'll get your premium back. I just said to them that there's a way that you can actually get your value back for your mortgage protection. Once your mortgage is over, you can get all your payments back and
Mhm.
a nice chunk of interest to go with it. That way, the value doesn't disappear when your mortgage is done. And they said that we're gonna have to talk to our broker about that. And they pretty much didn't want to give me the email or the appointment at that point.
Right. So you're just going to use the same thing that I just talked about to get to that point. I mean, you don't want to fight a client. You want to congratulate them first and make them feel like they made a good decision because they did. They wanted to protect their family. We know that we have better options for them, especially if it's attached to the mortgage. Because when it's attached to the mortgage, with a lender, it stays with that lender. That's how it is, and that's how it always has been. It's called credit, life, and disability. Usually, Rocket Mortgage probably partner with a life insurance company. I'm not sure who, but it can't be that great of a coverage because they're going to want to keep it cheap for the client. And what does cheap mean, or inexpensive? But we can't come out to the client and say, you've got cheap coverage, you should change it, right? Because if you push, they're going to push back. So great. I'm so glad you guys took it seriously and got some coverage, right? Gotta have some personality, some charm, some spunk in there, in order for them to make it feel like you're not scamming, right? And you just talk to them, hey, yeah, I'm a local agent here. I've got this form from my office. It looks like no one took care of you. So that's why I'm calling. So Rocket Mortgage took care of your mortgage protection needs. That's great. What happens when your lender sells, right? Because sometimes banks will package up mortgages and they'll ship them off to another lender that wants to buy them. Well, I don't know, right? So say, hey, well, you know what? Since I'm a licensed broker in the state, this is all state and federally regulated products. What I can do is I can take a look at your policy, see exactly what it does, and kind of compare apples to apples. So I've got a 6:30 available tomorrow night, or a 7:30. Which one of those works best for you? Move right into setting the appointment after you handle the objection. Okay, that's gonna break up a lot of time for them to start thinking and trying to rebut back, right? If you just move right into the appointment, because I handled that objection, right? So don't wait for them to spar back, right? Just move on. It's bridging a line. So you handle the objection, which is the bridge, and then you just move right on. Okay.
Thanks.
Yes. Kim, I hope that answered your question. I can't read all that right now, but anyways, any other questions?
Hey, Lake, it's Kim. So that just got me thinking because I really didn't know that. I ordered some of these brochures and flyers the other day just so I could have them in my hands because I downloaded a lot when I was trying to learn about the different products.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that was the case when it gets sold. I mean, I do property casualty now, which I'm trying to really phase out because it's a pain in the butt. But one thing I have learned is that literally within a week or 2 weeks, those loans are getting sold off and it's going somewhere else. So
Yeah.
are you saying that if they get that mortgage protection through like Rocket, then it goes away in like a week or two and they need a new policy?
You know what, Kim? That's a great question. I haven't heard the new partnership with Rocket and whatever insurance company they're on, so I can't say exactly, but traditionally that was the way it happened. That's why we don't see credit, life, and disability that often anymore. Typically, you're going to see protection through the bank is with a stable credit union that refuses to sell their loans. They're going to keep their loans, in-house for a small state-run credit union. Because they've got grants and stuff to help back them up. They've got insurances in case the mortgages go awry, so they don't have to sell. But as far as credit, life, and disability goes, even then, it's usually dirt cheap, right? It's a term coverage. It's probably reinsurance. So it means that the bank is just working with an insurance company and buying the risk from the insurer, so that it's cheaper than the premium. If you are confused by that, it's a very confusing subject. So look up reinsurance. I don't have time to go into that. And what's going to happen is that if they sell the loan, it's going to go away. Or if they refinance, or they decide, hey, I got a better rate through Rocket Mortgage than I did my local credit union. There goes my insurance. Now I'm 10 years older. I've had cancer or a heart attack, and I can't get regular coverage. Right? That's the risk that they run. What else was I trying to say? I had it in my head, but it went right away. With bank insurance too, typically with credit, life, and disability, sometimes it's an accident only policy and a disability policy, where if you're sick for more than 30 days, they'll make your mortgage payment for typically about 12 months maximum. And then that's the end of the policy, but they're not going to cover for other things. So that's it. Oh, Michael, those clients might have been talking about private mortgage insurance. Totally spaced that. So Kim, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'm going to hop back to Michael's point. So if the client thinks that they had coverage through Rocket Mortgage, they're probably thinking about private mortgage insurance. And here's the difference between mortgage protection and private mortgage insurance. What private mortgage insurance does is when you don't put down 20% of the home cost in cash, you're required to get private mortgage insurance. What that does is that protects the bank if you default on your loan. A lot of people think, even the lenders think, even the underwriters think that means if you die, that your loan gets paid off. It's not true at all. If you die and you have just private mortgage insurance, well, you don't get anything. It only protects the lender if you default on your loan so that they can be made whole. But they make us, the consumers, pay for it, which is really a racket, right? Because that should be a cost for them. They should be incurring that cost because it's the risk they are taking, right? But they're making us pay for that, okay? So make sure you ask your clients, hey, if you've got, do you mean private mortgage insurance? They'll say, oh yeah, that's what they meant. Then you can explain the difference from there.
So follow up to that question now. I'm not very well versed in private mortgage insurance. Does that mean that Exhibit A, husband dies, husband is income for mortgage payment, wife is stay-at-home mom? Does the wife have to deal with the debt of the mortgage when husband Exhibit A dies?
Yeah.
With private mortgage insurance, and the balance is not paid off, correct?
Balance is not paid off. No, the only time private mortgage insurance gets used is when the bank needs it. So say if the husband dies, the wife can't afford the mortgage payments, 90 days later, it goes into foreclosure and it finishes the foreclosure process within the first few years of the mortgage. The bank is out 20%. They're out their cut in their interest, right? So they lost some serious cash on that deal because they weren't paid the interest that was owed. Now they have a home. Now they have no interest. So now it's a negative affecting deal for the bank. If the bank makes you pay for private mortgage insurance, what's going to happen is that private mortgage insurer is going to pay the bank what they should have paid in interest, or at least some of it, make up for the difference, so that the bank is not losing money. That's all it does. They don't care about the tenants. They don't care about the homeowners at all. It's just for the bank. The bank is only out to make money, guys, right? So if you get insurance from your bank or credit union, they're only allowed to sell it to you because they have financial licenses. If you have your financial license, you can be a life insurance agent kind of by default sometimes. So they're not insurance experts. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen here in Maine, I've literally had a lady on the phone with me and her bank talking to the underwriter about private mortgage insurance. And she's like, no, when she dies, she's protected. It's called private mortgage insurance. I said, and I had to explain it to the lady. She had no idea. She was shocked. I've been telling all of these people they were protected. I was like, yeah, you probably need to get on that. So, and have them call me, right? So, any other questions? Got time for one more.
This is friggin' gold. Sorry, but I'm learning a lot. I'm like, oh my God. You don't know what to ask sometimes if you don't hear all these coming from other people. So thanks, everybody. And thank you, Lake.
You got it. And you know how I got through all these objections was I ran as hard as I could and I got as many as I could so I could ask as many questions as possible to my upline, right? Because the more you do, the more you run into things. Nathan, back on the board. What's up?
I'm trying to figure this out, but I'm having a hard time remembering objections, remembering and practicing them over and over again. What is something I can do to have it in my mind for the next time, essentially?
Yeah. Do you have my my flow charts?
I have it on my wall right here.
Practice them.
Just practice them.
Practice your phone stuff. Listen, there's going to be odds and ends that you're going to get. Just go to your upline. But if you're a visual learner or you have a hard time remembering them, there's a couple memory tips that you can do. Your mind is set up pretty organized if you think about it. Do you remember your childhood home?
Yeah, I do.
Could you go through that home in your mind's eye and know exactly where everything is?
Yeah.
Okay. Start thinking about objects you had in your room and placing your objections on those objects and then placing the answers on objects next to them. And then visualize yourself walking through that house. You see the lamp. I know the lamp means I'm all set. And I see the book on the desk means that, great. Did you get the new kind or the old kind, right? So that's a great memory tip. And that's actually how the guy with the greatest memory in the world does things, is he uses that mind map.
Okay, mind map. I like that. Thank you. Actually, that really helps me. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, one more question.
Hey, Lake.
Hey.
Just another trick that I had for remembering on objections and how to handle them and everything was I used to, whenever I heard a new objection that I struggled with, I had a bunch of index cards and I wrote it down there. And then when I was practicing myself, I just shuffled the deck and whatever objection dropped, I would then roll into whatever the way I was going to conquer it. And then I just flipped through the deck that way because I never knew what the next objection was going to be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you've got an objection, write it down on an index card, call your upline, have them solve it with you so you can write it on the back and then practice it. Good point, Jason. So thank you guys. So that's the end of Wednesday Winners. Thank you all for coming. We will see you guys next Wednesday for the next edition. We'll think of something fun to do again, and I'll see the hungry later. So I hope you all have a good night.
Thanks, Lake.
You
Good
got
night.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.